Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The hands work, but the provider behind every meal is Allah, not our job. It was a quiet evening. The sun had just set, and the father and son sat together after Maghrib prayer. The aroma of food filled the small house. The young boy Yusuf looked thoughtful. He asked softly, "Baba, today my teacher said that Allah gives us food. But I don't understand. You go to work every day, you earn money. Then Mama buys the food and cooks it. So isn't it you who gives us food?" The father smiled gently. "That's a very good question, my son. I'm happy you asked. Let's think about it together." The father explains. He said, "Yusuf, imagine you planted a seed in the soil. You water it, protect it, and wait for it to grow. But can you make that seed sprout? Can you make the rain fall or the sun shine?" Yusuf shook his head. "No, Abba. Only Allah can make it grow." "Exactly," said the father. "You did your part and you planted and watered. But the life of that plant came only from Allah. That's the same with our work. I go to the office, I make effort. But Allah is the one who puts barakah, blessing in it, who allows me to earn, who gives me health to work, and who even puts mercy in my boss's heart to pay me." Quran reference. Then the father opened the Quran and read aloud, "And there is no creature on earth except that its provision is upon Allah." In Surah Hud 11:6, he looked at Yusuf and said, "See, my son? Allah himself says that he provides for every living thing. I may be a means, but the true provider is Allah, Ar-Razak." The bird example. The father continued, "Do you know what Prophet Muhammad said about this?" He quoted the hadith, "If you were to rely upon Allah with the reliance He is due, you would be provided for like the birds. They go out hungry in the morning and return full in the evening." Tirmidhi 23:44. Birds don't just sit in the nest waiting. They fly out, make effort, but they trust that Allah will send the food. That's how Muslims should live. Work hard, but believe that Allah is the real provider. The example of illness. Then the father gave another example. "Remember when I was sick last year? I couldn't go to work for 2 weeks, but somehow food still came to our table. A neighbor brought some meals. The company sent me a paycheck for the days I missed. Who arranged all that? Not me, it was Allah's mercy." Yusuf's eyes widened. "So Baba, Allah was feeding us through different people?" "Yes, Yusuf," said the father. "Allah uses people as channels of his blessings. Just like he sends rain through clouds, he sends risk through jobs, people, and opportunities. But the source of the real giver is only Allah." A father's lesson. Then the father said softly, "My son, your teacher was right. Allah gives us food. But Allah also loves when his servants work. Prophet Muhammad said, and it is better for one of you to take a rope and bring a load of firewood on his back than to beg from someone. Al-Bukhari 2074. So, we must work and that's our duty, but always remember that success, money, food, and peace are gifts from Allah. And Yusuf's realization. Yusuf smiled and said, "Now I understand, Baba. You work, but it's Allah who sends the risk through your work." The father nodded and raised his hands in dua. "Yes, my dear. So whenever we eat, we should thank Allah first, not the job, not the money, because He is our Razak, the provider." They both said together, "Alhamdulillah for the food, for the work, and for Allah's mercy." Years later, when the door closed, Allah opened another. Years passed. Yusuf was now a grown man. He had finished his studies, found a good job, and was supporting his parents, just as his father once supported him. Life seemed steady until one day everything changed. The test. One afternoon, his manager called him into the office. The tone was serious. "Yusuf, the company is downsizing. We have to let you go." Yusuf's heart sank. He tried to stay calm, but inside he was trembling. "But sir, I've worked here for years." The manager sighed. "It's not about you. It's just business." Yusuf walked out with his last paycheck. "What will I do now?" he whispered. "How will I feed my parents? How will I survive?" He felt lost, but that night as he sat with his father, he couldn't hide his sadness, remembering his father's words. His father looked at him and asked, "What troubles you, my son?" Yusuf sighed. "Baba, I lost my job today. I feel like the doors are closing. I thought my work was my only way to earn." His father smiled. "Do you remember when you asked me who gives us food?" Yusuf nodded. "Yes, you told me that we work. But Allah is the one who provides." His father nodded again. Before you were born, then the father leaned closer and said softly, Yusuf, think about this. Who fed you when you were in your mother's tummy? You couldn't work, you couldn't move. You couldn't ask for food. Yet Allah fed you perfectly through your mother. Who gave you air to breathe? Who gave you warmth and who managed your food and drink when you were still unborn? Yusuf paused for a moment and said softly, Yes, Baba, you're right. Allah is truly amazing, His blessings are countless. Yes, my son, the father said. So if Allah managed your rizq when you were in darkness, hidden in the womb, do you think He will forget you now but when you can walk, work, and pray to Him? Allah never forgets His creation. Is still the same one who will feed you now. Your company didn't feed you, Allah did. He just used that company as a means. Quran reminder. The father opened the Quran and recited, And whoever relies upon Allah, then He is sufficient for him. Indeed, Allah will accomplish His purpose. Allah has already set for everything a decreed measure. Surah At-Talaq 65:3, or my son, your job may end, but Allah's mercy never ends. Your rizq was never tied to a company. It was written by Ar-Razzaq. A new door opens. A few weeks passed. Yusuf continued praying, making dua, and searching for work. One morning after Fajr, he made this dua sincerely. Allahumma akfini bihalalika an haramika, wa aghnini bifadlika amman siwak. O Allah, suffice me with what is halal, and make me independent by your grace from everyone else. Tirmidhi 3563. Later that week, a friend called Yusuf. I know someone who needs a partner in a small catering business. Yusuf had never imagined himself in business, but he decided to try. With the little savings he had, he started helping in that small food service. Slowly, by Allah's will, the business grew. Within months, he was earning more than before, and working with peace and gratitude. Yusuf's realization. One evening, as he handed food to a customer, he smiled and whispered, Subhanallah, I thought my rizq ended when my job ended. But Allah closed one door to open a better one. He remembered his father's words, We earn with our hand, but we eat from Allah's mercy. That night he hugged his father and said, Baba, you were right. Jobs can finish, but Allah's rizq never finishes. The father replied softly, My son, this is how Allah teaches His servants tawakkul, true trust. Sometimes He removes the means so we realize the source. Lesson from Yusuf's story. 1. Your effort is necessary, but results come only from Allah. 2. Your job is not your provider. Allah is real provider. 3. When one door closes, another opens, and often a better one. But tawakkal, trust in Allah, is not sitting idle. It is working hard with your hands and resting your heart with Allah. Hadith reminder. Prophet Muhammad said, No soul will die until it receives all the provision that has been decreed for it. Ibn Hibban 1109. So whatever is written for you will reach you, and whether through a job, a person, or a completely unexpected way. Adwa for rizq and tawakkal. Allahumma arzuqni rizqan halalan tayyiban wa barik li fih. O Allah, provide me with lawful and pure sustenance, and bless it for me. Ibn Majah, Naratun Islam.